I feel like crap, man.
Yeah?
I feel like we didn't even do anything to make my brain stop working the way it is right now.
Yeah, it's not even like at other Wizard World events that we covered where it was a lot more... I think maybe because it wasn't as hectic, maybe.
Yeah, there wasn't a 5-hour drive. There wasn't inclement of weather. We didn't have to fight anybody. No hobos came up to us. Not a couple, but like not violent hobos.
No, they're just hobos there.
Yeah, they were just in the... Like, you just ignore them. I don't know, man. I feel like I was sitting in the sun for like 5 hours and my head just cooked into the brain meat.
Well, you figure whenever we do these, it's like later in the year, so it's normally colder, and we're not outside as much.
Yeah, we were outside a lot, which I don't know what that says for the con. You know what? We'll just get into this and air out our grievances and what we liked.
Yeah.
Hey there, fans. You're listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. I'm your host, Caleb James. With me today, the Wizard World Wonder, Spencer Church.
I was wondering what you were going to be coming up with for this one, or if you was even able to come up with a name with the way that your brain has been painting.
The pain in the brain. Yeah, I figured that was apropos.
And easy.
That's a thing people say in movies, I heard. I don't know what that means. Sometimes I like to sound smart, but I'm not. That's okay.
End of podcast.
End of podcast. Click. Wizard World, Pittsburgh 2019. We were there. We covered it. We went wild. And by wild, I mean slightly mild. We were like white people, flour like, that's about as much spice level as we could deal with is flour. Maybe a little salt.
Little bit of salt. I don't even consider salt spice though.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the joke, Spencer. A not funny joke. This event, once again, because we covered the previous one in Pittsburgh, and that one, I was fucking sick as a dog.
Yeah, you were. I'm surprised you even came that day.
Yeah, I only went the one day, and it was rough, and I don't remember anything from that con except for it wasn't too busy. This con was in the middle of Pickle Fest, or what is it called? Pickleburg? Pickleburg was the big pickle festival going on all weekend in Pittsburgh. So everybody's all nuts for pickles. That kind of cuts down on the people that would go to the Wizard World. And two, this Wizard World was announced like literally 2 months ago?
Yeah, 2, 3, not that.
Usually it's announced like a year ahead of time.
Normally it's like, well, whenever we went to Cleveland, the day or two after they announced the next year's Cleveland convention. And this last one was, I think it was in 2016, I think was when they were last in Pittsburgh.
And there wasn't a guest list or vendor list or art, the artists and creators there. That didn't come up until I swear a couple weeks ago, it seemed.
Yeah.
A couple, like Zachary Levi was announced a little earlier than that, but most people weren't.
Yeah. And like a couple weeks ago, those were like the other celebrities, but then any like artists other than like Mike, I heard about Mike Watson like confirming being there like around the same time as the celebrities, but then like I didn't hear anything about any of the other like vendors or creators or anything like that. Really, until we got there and we found out that they had a list of it on their website. Yeah,
that's all it was. And but I looked on the website periodically and it wasn't on there for a while. And this event, normally we go to a Wizard World, they give us a big pamphlet, fancy fold-out pamphlet, has all the event panels, artists, creators, they had like a 2-page newspaper, didn't have anything on it.
No. Again, we found out from other creators that you had to go on the website, scroll all the way down past like the celebrities, the other people, to the very bottom to get to the event stuff.
Yeah, so while we had fun, I can definitely see this as an event probably better just for one day. Like the way this event, that's almost what they seemed like. I don't know if that's what they wanted, but the event was kind of slapped together last minute, and I think they just wanted to get some revenue in, but they didn't spend a lot. It wasn't a huge, compared to even the previous one, or like a Cleveland con, there wasn't a lot of vendors or creators, which, the crowds were kind of about the size of that, any given time, maybe 30, 40 people there, except for when Zach Levi was there on Saturday was probably the biggest crowd I saw, and that might have been a couple hundred. But at the same time, which we stumbled into on accident, literally right next to that con in the other big showroom, they were having a pickleball tournament.
Which I didn't even know was a thing until we stumbled upon it.
Yeah, we just walked in because we walked around the whole convention like 15 times, and within an hour, we're like, well, let's go do something else before the panels start. And we saw a bunch of white people doing white people things with sticks. I'm like, well, that's something to investigate. And we walk in, and it was just like we walked into a whole new event, which we did.
Yeah, and to those who might not know what pickleball is, it looks like some kind of it's like ping pong, but on a tennis court. Which you think would just be tennis, but no, because the courts were smaller, the tents were lower. You had these weirder like the
plastic balls. I think they were.
Yeah, they were big,
green.
They were softball sized, but they were plastic. And then the way you used to hit them was more like a ping pong paddle than say a tennis racket or anything like that.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. I think the best way to do this review, because normally we actually haven't covered a con on the podcast because the podcast hasn't been up long enough. But now that that's one thing we're going to start doing. But since this event wasn't, the Cleveland events we went to, or even some of the other just the cons we were just not covering. We just went for fun.
Just other conventions.
Some of those were so busy. We had huge write-ups and everything for, which you can find on drunkenpenwriting.com. Yep. But this one, since it was smaller, I guess we could just do the highlights and lowlights of it.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm gonna fucking go low light first. Get it out of the way.
Do what?
The low light.
Yeah.
The fucking negative. The big negative for Caleb, as Spencer already knows, because I was sexually harassed every day. Every day.
You were the only one.
I feel like I was. I feel like I was alone in this. The security. Oh Lord. The first year Pittsburgh, I went to the 2016 Pittsburgh Wizard World. What I hated was the event panels were outside of the hall. They were upstairs and real far away. So if you wanted to go to a panel, when you came back, if you wanted to go to the showroom floor again, you had to go through security again. Well, that's how this setup was. So we went through security 20 fucking times because, we tried to cover all the panels and stuff. And every time you got to check your bags and check your crotch. And the one lady kept checking my crotch very hard. She kept asking me what was in my pants. She said I was looking cute.
That's what you get for wearing them tank tops,
I think the word vanilla nugget came up once or twice.
I told you, man. The tank tops. You went the whole weekend with wearing nothing but tank tops.
It's summer and it was hot.
We were inside most of the time.
I know, actually got kind of chilly a lot. But I hated it, man. I was just there was times where I was at a panel, I was like, I'm not even going to go back to the floor right now because I don't want to go through the security and run into that one lady that just kept harassing me sexually. Asking me about she was kind of doing it to you, too. She's saying your fly was down when it wasn't. Why are you looking at his wiener?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess she was just bored. That was the biggest negative, and another reason why that is a terrible setup is because you don't have to go to the convention at all to go to the panels.
No.
You don't have to buy a ticket because the way it's set up, you can go up the escalator as soon as you come into the convention center, go up the second escalator if you know where you're going, and then just go right to the panel rooms after you walk down the fucking football field length hallway.
Yeah.
That was another thing, walking back and forth from that was a workout. But you could go to the panels. Well, if there's celebrity panels or something, there was no security checking these. Anybody that would go up there.
See if they had a wristband or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I saw.
Was the last time whenever we went to the Zachary Levi on the last day. Because I think they had to check them because they had VIPs, so they wanted to make sure the VIPs got their seats. But other than that, there was nobody up there ever trying to see what kind of bracelet anybody had, or anything like that.
And even so, that was only one person.
Yeah.
So if you just got past that one, if some knife wielding maniac or something like that, or you brought a gun, you could get away with it without anybody checking you. Because you walk into the convention, they have security downstairs, but they just say, convention's upstairs, have fun. Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I like the free roaming aspect of it, but just have the security set up before the panels, right at the registration desk. That way you just go through, get checked out, and then you do it just once unless you leave the whole building.
Yeah.
That was my biggest gripe, honestly. And then
and there were security guards not wearing shoes.
Well, that was more of the convention center. That was upstairs in the area where nobody was. So I'd probably be I wouldn't be wearing pants. I'd not be wearing pants if that was me. That was boring for that guy, I'm sure. Probably had the gout.
Probably.
And I love the convention center, though. I mean, we literally just went.
It's nice.
You go on balconies. You could take all the pictures you want. You could just randomly go to the top floor and just walk around. I don't know if you're supposed to, but they don't have it blocked off.
Whereas we'll get into about this one aspect a little bit later. But when we were listening, we went to one convention and they were talking about like how big the convention center is. Like, what could possibly fill the thing?
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Like, so that has a big aspect of like having like we'll just use this little spot over here and then like 2 floors, or like another floor up, which you don't really need. We're gonna take a couple rooms, and that was like. What, if there was one room there probably were like 20 different rooms you could go into and they used maybe 2 or 3 of them?
Yeah. And well, I didn't understand that panel setup because like I mentioned, you had to walk down that super long hallway, which is cool because you can see a whole overview of the con.
Yeah.
And if you look at the other side, you can see the whole pickleball tournament if you wanted. So there's a lot of places you can just, and they have couches and chairs everywhere, so you can just sleep if you want to. I've seen people falling asleep on the couches and stuff. The thing I didn't understand about that long hallway is there was a whole shitload of panel rooms on the other side.
Yeah,
not being used.
Like when you come right off the escalators.
Why wouldn't you just use that side?
Yeah.
That's what I would think would make sense, and then you wouldn't have to walk so far. But maybe they just want to utilize the whole building just because they can. The other low light for me was the lack of creators.
Yes.
I actually bought a fancy leather-bound book from one of the few vendors I found at most cons. There's a lot of junk, flea market type vendors, and I just ended up not really buying anything. Well, they actually had some cool vendors here. Not a lot of them, but they had a few cool vendors with unique items. So they had like a leather vendor. He had like cool leather books and bags and stuff. I bought a cool journal, and I took it to Koa Beam, who was, he's one of your like favorite artists. You always get commissions off him, and I got like a horror commission off him. And I actually wanted to get a bunch of commissions, but there was nobody else there to really do commissions except for Mike Watson, who was super busy because it was like his show pretty much.
He barely got my commission done. Told him on Friday what I wanted, and like, no, granted, I mentioned to him, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be here all weekend, so if you get busy,
take your time a little, but
or something or whatever, it's fine. I'm gonna, I'm gonna be here, and like, he had people that are only gonna be there for the day and stuff like that, and I've been on that end when you only go to a con for a day, and like, this nothing against them or nothing, but like, he was busy a lot of time. There wasn't many times that we came by and there wasn't at least like 1 or 2 people at his table.
Yeah, and that was definitely the big downside for me, the lack of creators, because that's what we go to these for. Because while a lot of the other press, which I didn't see too many press there at this, but like most other press, they kind of cover, all the cosplays and the media personalities, celebrities and stuff. We go to these like to do the panels and talk to the writers,
artists.
There was not one writing panel. There was barely any comic panels. There was a comic book movie talk panels, a couple of those. There was like how to create comics, kind of like Mike Watson's panels, but we've gone to those a bunch in the past. And
like they were like the ones that you've been seeing a lot, like women in comics, diversity in comics, which are good panels and stuff like that. But like if you go to enough of these, you see those kind of things.
Yeah, you end up like again, and Mike Watson especially too. We've seen the panels that he does.
Yeah. Unless if there's like a different person on the panel that can have like a cool different take on it.
But the cool thing about him is he always live streams them on Facebook, so you can go and watch them if you're interested. But you're again another low light. They booked a lot of the panels overlapping for no reason. Mm-hmm. Even Mike Watson, who was in a panel, would be scheduled for another panel
before that one was over.
That doesn't make sense to me. So you got the guy running across hallways and shit. I think they could have just spaced them out better, because there was a couple panels I wanted to go see and I couldn't because I was doing another one.
Yep.
And then you just kind of hope the one you're in is a hit versus a dud. But the highlights for the event for me, there were a couple cool podcast panels. We actually hopped on the 3 Geeks podcast.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah, and I was starving, so I ran out of the... That's another thing I like about the convention center, that you can just leave and go get food in downtown Pittsburgh, Culture District. Restaurants everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, I ran and got a big-ass fucking hoagie. And I'm thinking I'm just going to eat the hoagie and watch these guys. I didn't know what the fucking thing was about, really. As soon as I walk in, here's Spencer. Oh, we got to go on stage, man. We got to do a podcast. I'm like, oh. The whole hour-long podcast, and I'm just sitting there looking at my hoagie getting cold in the aisle. I'm like, man. But that was cool.
You should have just brought it up on the thing and started eating it. And then, like, when it was your turn, and I think for Mortal Kombat, we should.
We actually got a decent crowd for that compared to, like, some of the other people. Because we've seen some, again, I don't know if it was the panels being so far away, maybe the security setup, all the other... There's too many things going against the event. But there was a lot of panels that didn't have barely any people in them.
And we noticed too, like there was a lot of like podcasts doing like quote unquote live podcasts.
Yeah, that was
or just I'm guessing recording it while they're there and put it out later. Which I think is kind of cool. Which maybe gave us the idea of maybe seeing what we can
do that
do that.
Especially after actually getting on one just to see how that works. I mean, they just had like a recorder and then they had the computer set up, but that's probably not too hard to figure out.
Wait, do you figure this is like this one, and then wasn't it last Cleveland where I got to get onto that one panel with Victor when we were like...
Yeah,
we
were
doing like Marvel characters versus like DC characters.
Now that's where the difference is. Like Cleveland, one, their panel rooms are right off the main floor. You didn't have to go far for it.
No.
And because of that panel had like, fucking 80 people in it?
Yeah, it had a lot of people.
It was packed to the gills, and like Cleveland's panels, they were all super packed. This one, the most... I think maybe 10 people in the panel I saw, other than like Zachary Levi, and even that wasn't as packed as...
They probably wanted it to be.
Yeah.
There was a lot of empty... Not a lot. I would say...
We could check the site for the pictures and I'll post them.
I would say it's somewhere between 40 to 45% full, probably.
Yeah, it's just... I mean, the attendance, I would say, was disappointing, but I think Wizard World knew what they were getting at. If they did book a bunch of creators and celebrities and stuff and had that attendance... We probably won't be getting another Pittsburgh one to bomb, but since they didn't really go too hard,
because they didn't even like rent out or whatever you do, like a big section in the convention.
Yeah, it was a smaller convention compared to normal. Because last time they were in Pittsburgh, they rented out 2 halls.
Yeah,
it was that big one where the Pickle Fest was, or Pickleball, and then like the one where the con was this year was both of them. So they kind of I figured that, it's probably not going to be... It was such a sudden thing we put out, and we don't have to worry too much about, the overhead. We're just going to have, like, the basic bare bones con, and people want to come, they can. And they probably got a lot of overflow traffic from, like, the people next door, and maybe just off the street from the Pickle Fest, drunk off of pickle juice and shit. And Wizard World did do... something at the Pickle Fest. Like, again, we didn't know that Pickleberg thing was going on, or we would have went to it.
Completely oblivious.
Yeah, because we got into Pittsburgh right when that was, like, wrapping up. If I'd known, we would have went a couple hours early, because, like, Mike Watson and all the Wizard World people, the Con-Goers creators, they were all there taking pictures and shit.
A lot of the cosplayers, they had, like, a pickle chugging contest.
And I mentioned before, this was Mike Watson's show. I'm not kidding. That man did more panels than anybody by far. And when we got to the show, he was at the pickle thing, chugging pickle juice and stuff. I saw the video of that. But when we got to the event, he was playing Family Feud Comic Edition or something with just strangers waiting to get into the con.
He always does the hype line. Like, he does like the beginning of every morning. He goes out, and for the people who are waiting to come in, and we'll do different shows, different games and stuff. Try to people get excited, and we'll give them like, little raffle things to there. They can get like something free at his table and stuff like that.
Yeah. So as far as that goes, I wish I could just scream, give that man a raise, because that's how that worked. He definitely was a highlight of the show for probably most people, because he had so many people at his booth for the most part, which brought the surrounding booth people. I did like the setup of the con as far as getting to everything. It was open. It was nice.
Yeah, it wasn't crowded or nothing.
They had a really cool video game setup, which they had at the... this one I think was bigger than the one they had at the other Pittsburgh Wizard World.
Yeah.
It's like you just sit down and play all kinds of video games. They had the manga library, which is always cool.
Little cosplay section.
Yeah, they had a cosplay section. They had an actual booze booth that wasn't overpriced. I mean, it was like reasonable. So, and you could actually drink at this one, because in the past I don't think you were allowed to drink.
No,
I didn't think they sold booze, but overall I think it was a good time. I would say it was just kind of an average con. For a Wizard World, it would be a little disappointing in my opinion, because usually those are grander, more, larger spectacles. Because this one wasn't even really themed. Usually they have like a, Aquaman themed, anime themed, Justice League themed. Like the ones we go to always have kind of an overall theme where the panels kind of coincide with that, and maybe the cosplayers will dress up in themes close to that and stuff. But this one was just like, hey, come and have fun.
Yeah.
It reminded me of almost like just a smaller fan con or something.
What I'm hoping that they were doing was just like kind of testing the water, like the market, to see what it would be like to bring, Wizard World back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And so what I'm hoping is that we do get another one next year, and that we're able to that they'll be able to announce that ahead of time and, put some more work and effort into it. I'm not saying that they didn't put effort into it, but just be able to plan more, have more time to get guests. Because, there's a famous comic book author or artist, and he writes his own era, Scott McDaniel from, big Batman fame, Nightwing. He was the artist on the original Nightwing run in the early 2000s and early mid 90s, I think. And he's done a whole bunch of DC stuff. He's done some Marvel stuff, but he's not lives in Pittsburgh, but he's Pittsburgh adjacent.
Yeah,
he lives he's within that area. And I don't know if they didn't know that, but he's a hometown guy.
Maybe he's just busy.
He might be busy. They might have made.
A lot of people were booked already because they didn't know this event was coming up.
So with that, and I know any convention that we're at that he's at, he normally has, he's normally pretty busy because people know him.
Well, the Three Rivers Con we went to recently was fucking way busier. Yeah. So many creators, and that's supposed to be a smaller show, but I feel like it was bigger than the Wizard World was this year. Again, I think it just came down to they just kind of wanted to squeeze another con in and maybe see how the numbers were doing for a bare bones con and see if it was worth, bringing a bigger one. But I think they should because Pittsburgh in the summer is the perfect place because the parking's not atrocious. We found, park in a garage. It was $24 for the whole weekend for us. Yeah. Hotel prices, nice ass hotel wasn't that much for being right downtown. Mm. Everything was in walking distance. And then, like I said, restaurants everywhere. There's so much cool stuff you can do. And I think Wizard World could definitely utilize that a little better by, maybe having... Because we went to a drink and draw hosted by Mike Watson Friday night, which was awesome. There was 15 people there, and we had a lot of fun. But Wizard World, because I think in Cleveland they might have had an event one year, a Mexican place, a Mexican restaurant.
They normally have a drink and draw, and it's probably just that. Like I said, this is the first one that I've ever went to.
Well, remember then last year they had in Cleveland there was some kind of bar. It was a cosplay
they had
dance thing.
But it
was actually Wizard World promoted. I think they had pamphlets and stuff. Yeah. The drink and draw, I almost felt like that was just kind of Mike Watson and be like, hey, Wizard World, can I do this? And sure. But they usually kind of promote after show event more, and I think that again Pittsburgh would be a perfect town for that. They got so many. They even got a comedy club right nearby if they wanted to do something. So hopefully they get it together and really, give a wow type show in the future.
And there's a comic comic book store right down the street.
Huge.
And that you think that you would maybe try to get a little thing going with them, maybe after the hour, especially on a Friday or something before the show starts, if you can get the celebrities there early, to do a signing,
right?
Or even if it's some of the creators, if you had more creators, you could have them do signings or something like that to just bring in more business.
Well, what were the highlights and lowlights in your opinion? Were there any that I didn't touch upon already for you?
No, the negatives are pretty much what you said. I do want to focus on the panels that we did go to. Were all for the
pretty solid.
Were pretty solid for the most part. That we did go to the Zachary Levi one at the end. That was
I wasn't interested in that panel at all going into it because I didn't see Shazam yet, and I don't know. I just really wasn't interested. But he was hilarious. Yeah. He did a great job, and that was definitely a highlight of Sunday for me. He was a solid guest. He seemed very nice. He knew people's names that were in line for questions, so he really got to know the fans that were coming to see him. Yeah, because he normally had a pretty big line, and just walking by where he was signing and taking selfies and stuff like that. He seemed real nice. He's real good with the kids, and like you said, whenever those people would come up to ask a question, and that was another nice thing. He did no bullshit, no this is he didn't even have a moderator up there or anything. Yeah, it was just him.
It was just him, and that's Q&A, just straight up Q&A. Let's go. Let's out. He wants to, and he would, you said, he was funny. He was good with all the fans. He even opened up about his personal life, which I didn't know that stuff about him really. You know, and the stuff that he struggled with depression and stuff, and how he uses that to try to help other people, and why he does the things he does.
Yeah, he's a very positive person. Yeah, he had just a really good message, and I have a lot more respect for him. It actually made me want to go see Shazam, because again, it was kind of a kids movie. I'll see it, but I wasn't real like I'm gonna go to the movie.
It kind of made me want to see Chuck.
Yeah,
I watched Chuck. I've probably seen some episodes, and I remember it when it was out, but like I don't know, like especially at that time, my movie or my
I didn't even know he was in
it.
Thor.
Yeah, he didn't have a big part. Like, he
was like a blonde-haired dude.
Yeah, he's one of the Warrior 3. He's like one of like Thor's friends, and like they didn't do much with the character.
Yeah, I did feel like the panels that I went to, for the most part, there was a couple that were kind of phoned in. Again, maybe that was just with the crowd. There wasn't a huge crowd.
If you don't have a lot of people there, it's gonna probably be kind of hard.
Yeah, I mean, there was a wrestling panel I was gonna go in on because they had Tommy Dreamer and Shane Douglas, and I don't think Tommy Dreamer was there that day, which probably had something to do with it. But there was literally just one guy in the front row, and I was like, well, I can't go into this because I don't have anything to talk to about. I'm gonna have to be talking to this guy now. Yeah. He's not just gonna talk at me.
And you don't want to ruin that one guy. He's probably having a good time.
Now they did have some horror panels. Again, it was just the timing of the panels. They had a good bit of panels, but there was a lot I wasn't able to go to because the timing and the way things were going, and then covering the floor, going. Then we had to go get food and stuff here and there, and just hanging out with people. You just kind of miss a lot of stuff because that long ass walk. Because like Cleveland, everything was within pretty close walking distance from the con floor, so like, oh man, we got 5 minutes, better get to this panel. Yeah,
because I mean, even like at like not running, but like going at a good pace, it would take like at least like 5 to 7 minutes to get to
from the con floor entrance all the way up to one of the panel rooms. If you went really fast, I would definitely say 5 to 7 minutes, like if you were running.
Yeah,
because it was just a long walk. And again, I think the panels would have been way more crowded if you didn't have that long walk.
Yeah.
And
because you could have people who are already spending their time walking around the event floor, so, because people sometimes just go to panels just like, I need a break, I need to relax for a minute, and and then the chances are they hopefully will enjoy whatever they decide to take a break at. You don't have that option when you have them on a whole nother floor. Nobody's gonna walk up another floor just to like relax for a minute.
Yeah. The fatigue was definitely real, just the walking fatigue, and we're carrying bags and shit. It was just rough. I mean, and then today was even worse because me and Spencer had the stupidest of debacles. Our checkout from the hotel was at 11 standard, and we stayed at the Drury in Pittsburgh, and that was an awesome hotel. Yes, and I like too because you don't have to check out; you just walk out. They just say, "Hey, goodbye." You just leave your keys in the room. That's good. We parked in a garage because most hotels in cities like Pittsburgh, you have to pay like $30 a day or $40 a day for valet. It's ridiculous.
And it sucks that it's for a day. Like if somebody told
me the whole weekend, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's for a day. And meanwhile, the garage where they park these things, if you just park in the garage, it was like, for us, it was $24 for the whole weekend.
Yeah. Can't
beat that. So we just parked in the garage. That was literally a block away. We just walked to the hotel. But, we had our fucking 50-pound bags and all our shit. And you walk to the garage. That's fine. We go into the garage, and we're walking on the floor where we parked, and there's no Spencer's vehicle.
Oh,
what the fuck? Oh, shit. Walk all the way to the bottom. Oh, man, maybe it was up higher. Maybe we, did that. Walk to the 4th floor, 5th floor. Like, oh, shit. They towed his car. We fucked up. We didn't know how the procedure worked. Or somebody stole the car.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Go to the security guy and the cashier. We're like, hey, man, do you guys like tow or something? Like, what do we do? And he goes, well, let me see your ticket. You got a ticket? And you're like, yeah. I showed him. It's like, oh, you're in the other garage, the red garage. I'm like, the red garage? And we followed his directions, and literally an identical garage from where we pulled in. It was just like this weird Twilight Zone we went through.
We didn't, okay, so the place where you pull in is next to what I'm guessing is the blue office.
It took us, when we went in the elevator, it took us to the blue lobby instead of the red lobby.
Yeah. And then, well, you know what? It might even took us to the red lobby, but like whenever we came walking by, we never noticed that the two different lobbies. Like when we were coming back from the Drury, we just that's the parking garage. That's where I pulled in and parked.
Yeah, it was just weird, but we literally walked for 20 minutes with like 80-pound bags, and it just sucked. So by the time we got to the con after all that, and we had to rush to get to the Zachary Levi panel, that was like the first one. My dogs were barking. I was tired because it's not a far walk from where we were to the the event, but again, the big long ass hallway. It was probably a couple miles just from doing like at least a mile.
And then just the mental stretch is like, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck.
It was really hot. So that was a low light of the whole weekend. But overall, I can't complain. I had fun at the show. I wish there was more to do, and if there were more creators there, because I'm not really into the celebrities too much anyway. So if there was just more creators, especially like writers and a couple more artists, I would have been happy.
I mean, I only got 2 commissions.
Yeah, you got one for Mike Watson and Koa Beam.
Yeah, those are the only 2. And you know me, like I normally walk out of a con with like at least like 4, maybe 5 like commissions or.
Well, we ran into some friends who were going there, and again, it was almost like a perfect con if you were just going for a day for a few hours to kill.
Or if there was like somebody that, like, oh, like you were a fan of Shazam and you like Zachary Levi, and you were just going to, there to get a signing or to get a photo with him or something like that.
Now, to be fair, Wizard World did a good job with the pricing and stuff, because I think it was like $50 for the whole weekend.
Yeah, they had some kind of special where like...
Yeah, 2016 it was like $50 for a day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was good. You got the Zachary Levi special. They did good job, Mike, when it came to the promoting of that. Again, Mike Watson did really... If you use Freestyle Comps, you got 20% off your tickets, too.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So it definitely helps to follow the creators on,
Yeah, because I think there was even like some cosplayers that was like, hey, if you use whatever code their thing was, it would get you like 20% off and stuff.
Yeah. The cosplayers, too, we met some of the cosplayers, and they were at the Drink and Draw, and they were very fun people, and they were having definitely a good time and meeting people. And we went to the cosplay contest, and it was there were some really cool costumes. It was definitely smaller than like the Cleveland one we went to.
Yeah, the Cleveland one,
that was like an hour long.
It was like at least 45 minutes. However long like our whole contest was for this show, that was how long it took just to get through like most of the cosplayers that entered.
Yeah, not even the judging or anything. Overall, what was your rating? We'll do the old 5 shots out of
5 shot.
I'm giving it 3 shots of mid-grade whiskey.
Yeah, 3. I would say 3 is good. If we did halves, I would do like 3.5, but we normally don't do half, so I'll stick with 3.
Well, here's where you got to think too, though. If you were from, because a lot of the people that were at the con were from Cleveland or Columbus, which I thought was weird. Like, not a lot of Pittsburgh people, but not even Pittsburgh Dad.
Yeah.
Not that I want to see him, but then you think of some Pittsburgh random celebrities that aren't doing shit.
Because he's been at different cons we go to.
But just think, if you did drive 4 or 5 hours to this convention, how would you feel then?
Yeah.
You might feel let down.
If we drove to Cleveland
and it
was this convention, it would be a little upsetting.
I mean, it was only like a 40-minute drive for us at most. So,
and most of that was finding parking.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can't complain in that regard. And honestly, I mean, we went and got the hotel and stuff, not just for the convenience of being able to walk and stuff, just to kind of enjoy the event more. Because nothing sucks worse than like, oh, I want to go out and have a little fun with some of the people I met. But I got to drive home and I'm tired. And then I drive here in the morning. So we just got the hotel. But if you, like I said, if you're from out of town and you came to see this show, I'm sorry. If you felt a little let down, you might even cut, especially if you're going for the 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know if many people were. And they might just went to pickle fucking.
Yeah, Pickle Fest.
Yeah, pickle fucking.
Pickle boogie.
Whatever they're doing with the pickles. But
we did.
Oh, shit.
We did get a nice new piece of art.
Oh man! How did I forget to mention
for the studio?
If you're a long-time listener of this podcast, that's been on for a year, if that. When we went to, was that Altoona?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. It was Altoona.
Yeah, it was Altoona.
We went to Altoona, and I was disappointed with that con. You probably heard me bitch in the past about it being kind of a flea market this year. There was a guy there. Not a very friendly man.
No.
But he was selling an Alex Jones.
Well, I don't know if he wasn't friendly. He seemed like one of those kind of awkward
maybe.
people.
Yeah,
like
maybe.
He was just not good with people quite yet.
Regardless, he was selling an Alex Jones Gay Frogs print.
If you also know us, we are highly influenced by the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, we're huge Joe Rogan podcast fans. We listen to all the episodes. And not that I'm a Alex Jones fan by any means, really. Man's entertaining, and I love me some Gay Frog remix on YouTube. Look that up, folks. It's hilarious. And so, just the caricature of Alex Jones, not the man himself and his conspiracy and all that shit. Just the caricature and
of him going full Alex Jones.
Yeah, and the hilariousness of that picture was perfect for our podcast studio.
There was gay frogs humping each other, and it was great.
I went to, sir, I would like to purchase one gay frog. Well, I can't do that because I don't have any more. Well, can I have the one hanging up? No, you got to buy it on Etsy. Disappointment galore. Yeah. Fast forward to Wizard World, Pittsburgh. No gay frogs. Not gay frogs. But a really cool fucking like tie-dye, like hallucinogenic.
It's painted.
Painted.
Well, it's a print, but it's off of like a painted.
Yeah, it looks like you took some DMT. It's just Joe Rogan's face with the quizzical look on his face, and it's wonderful.
From Nate Michaels.
Nate Michaels. Let me look.
Yeah, I think.
Nate Michaels. Yeah. Nate Michaels art. You can check him out at NateMichaels.net or NateMichaelsArtist@gmail.com if you want to contact him. He does like this kind of. I would say this is the best description, which maybe we should take a picture for the write-up probably. Yeah. It's like a rainbowy, hallucinogenic type of craziness, but the picture's like pretty clear, but it's got like space shit in the background. And it's just Joe Rogan's face, and it seems like that's very fitting for the podcast.
Make it a very Joe Rogan kind of face. Again, if you're familiar with any of his kind of his work and his stuff like that.
Yeah, so that was a cool pickup. We found that literally right when we were about to leave. And we just like, how did we not see this the whole time? And that was cool. And there was some random con goer, too, that was like, dude, did you see the gay frogs? He told us about the gay frogs. He bought the gay frogs. He bought
one. That made me
he probably bought the one I was going to buy.
It made me so mad.
I bet he strong-armed that kid to buy it. So it was a fun con. Nothing really to write home about. Like, if you're checking out the write-up now instead of just listening to the podcast. Couldn't go too much into it, unfortunately.
I'm going to say, and I don't know about you, but like a lot of my write-ups are probably going to be covering the same thing. Yeah. But, check them both out, And so then that way, too, if you were there or if you have any ideas on ways cons can be better, because then we can try to get that information to Wizard World as well. And not only help... hopefully the next Pittsburgh show, but any of the shows that they have, they're always looking for feedback.
Yeah, and depending if I am able to get something together, I should have video footage to put together of this, but it's not going to be nearly as entertaining as I thought. It's mostly just views of what happened.
Yeah, once you got that camera, we had big plans on like, this would be the first time we get to test it out and do this.
Yeah, we weren't even going to do much of a write-up. We were just going to, maybe interview some people or just like talk to folks and there was nothing to...
Yeah.
You'll see in the video just the crowd size and stuff, but it is what it is. Either or. Okay, con. Columbus, hopefully better.
Yeah.
We're going to be at Columbus probably, so till then, thanks for listening.
Bye.